parents ever gave you?
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
You probably do.
Yeah.
I mean, the advice that renting is basically just throwing your money away and buying a house. If I told you that the single greatest piece of financial advice your parents ever gave you,
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
you probably do.
Yeah.
I mean, the advice that renting is basically just throwing your money away and buying a house is the ultimate path to wealth. What if I told you that was actually a mathematical trap? Would you believe me?
Most people wouldn't, honestly. It goes against everything we're taught.
Right. But today we are breaking down a masterclass that pretty much flips everything you thought you know about money completely on its head.
Yeah, it is a radical departure from the standard cultural script, that's for sure. We're digging into the core curriculum of accountant Nisha's incredibly popular video. It's a 54-minute masterclass called Everything They Never Taught You About Money.
Which has millions of views, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over 2.6 million views. And we're also pulling from her broader financial frameworks, like her financial well-being toolkit. And, what is just brilliant about her approach is that she strips the emotion entirely out of wealth building.
Just totally removes it.
Yeah, she reduces the most stressful decisions in your life to simple, cold, undeniable math.
Which is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We want to take you, our listener, on the exact journey this curriculum lays out.
Step by step.
Step by step. We're going to decode the transition from just, staring blankly at your financial now, like those raw numbers in your checking account, to building a bulletproof long-term strategy for wealth.
Because that's the gap most people can't cross.
Right. And more importantly, we are going to learn how to navigate those massive life purchases like cars and homes without the usual panic or buyer's remorse that usually comes with them.
Because look, financial management isn't a personality trait. You aren't just born bad with money.
I feel like a lot of people tell themselves that, though.
Oh, constantly. But it is simply an acquired skill. I mean, it's like learning to fly a plane. If you just wander into a cockpit, the blinking lights and dials are going to cause absolute sensory overload.
I'd be terrified.
Right. But once you know which 3 or 4 dials actually control the altitude, the rest is just, it's just background noise.
Okay, let's unpack this because I want to emphasize right up front, we are leaving all the complex Wall Street jargon at the door today.
Highly requested, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. We are focusing purely on the mechanics of money. And Nisha's curriculum begins at the only logical starting point, which is the foundation.
You can't chart a course to financial freedom if you don't know your starting coordinates.
Exactly. So her first chapter is understanding your financial and now, which she pairs immediately with building a debt strategy.
What's fascinating here is that pairing is absolutely crucial. Assessing your now means looking at all of it, the income, the assets, and specifically the liabilities.
The scary stuff.
The really scary stuff for most people. But Nisha draws a hard, definitive line between productive debt and unproductive debt.
Okay.
That distinction is the very first filter for your financial health.
Well, I'm going to challenge that sequence right out of the gate, actually.
Oh, really? Let's hear it.
Yeah, because say I drop a pin on my financial GPS.
Right.
And I see that I have credit card debt or like a car loan.
Pretty common.
Right, but let's say it's currently locked into a 0% or maybe a 1% introductory rate for the next 12 months.
Ah, the promotional rate.
Yeah. So mathematically, shouldn't I take my spare cash and invest it to capture, an 8% market gain rather than aggressively paying off basically free debt? Like, why tackle the debt strategy before we even talk about making money?
See, that is the classic spreadsheet versus reality dilemma.
Okay, explain that.
Mathematically, in a vacuum, capturing the arbitrage between a 0% loan and an 8% return makes total sense.
Right, it's just numbers.
But behavioral finance tells a completely different story. Unproductive debt, like consumer credit cards or loans for depreciating assets like clothes or vacations, it acts as a psychological drag.
Like a weight on your mind.
It is a literal behavioral weight around your ankle. Furthermore, those promotional rates, they explode the moment you miss a single payment or, the term expires.
So it's about eliminating risk, not just chasing a tiny little margin.
It goes deeper than that, honestly. Clearing unproductive debt creates a clean slate mentally and structurally. Productive debt, on the other hand, is leverage.
Leverage meaning?
Meaning it's money you borrowed that has the potential to actively increase your net worth or generate income.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, think of a reasonable student loan that significantly increases your earning power in a specific field. Or a mortgage on a rental property that generates cash flow.
Right, so that's actually doing something for you.
Exactly. Unproductive debt actively bleeds your net worth dry. As long as you have a 24% interest rate on a credit card waiting in the wings, any investing you do is like trying to bail water out of a boat with a hole in its hull.
Wow, okay. But neutralizing that high interest drag on your net worth, I guess it does more than just fix your math, it fixes your mindset.
100%.
Suddenly, you have the mental bandwidth to actually look at the future, which is where the curriculum pivots from playing defense to playing offense, right?
That's right.
We start looking at the horizon, specifically through her chapters on setting goals that matter and building a 12-month forecast.
And this is where she introduces a very specific behavioral tool, which is the intentional spending tracker.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because tracking spending is usually where most people just tap out.
Oh, it's exhausting for most people.
It is. Whenever I hear spending tracker or monthly check-ins, my mind immediately goes to counting calories on a super strict diet.
Right, the deprivation mindset.
Yeah. You weigh every single grain of rice, you log every almond, you feel guilty for eating an apple, and by day 14, you are so miserable you just, eat an entire chocolate cake.
The financial binge.
Exactly. Doesn't tracking every single expense for 12 months just lead to severe burnout? How do we keep this empowering rather than exhausting?
It absolutely leads to burnout if you are doing it for the wrong reasons. Financial diets fail for the exact same reason food diets fail.
Because they're miserable.
Because they are built entirely on restriction and deprivation, yeah. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the key word in Nisha's tool is intentional.
Intentional.
Right. The tracker isn't a punishment mechanism designed to make you feel guilty for buying a latte. It is an awareness mechanism.
How does that look in practice, though? Like if I log the latte, I'm still logging the latte. It still feels like a micromanagement thing.
The difference lies in the prerequisite chapter we just mentioned, setting goals that matter.
Okay, walk me through that connection.
Well, we absorb so many arbitrary societal milestones without really questioning them. Society says you must own a home by 30, or you need to drive a luxury car to signal that you've made it.
Right, the classic keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. So if you are strictly tracking your spending to hit a generic goal that you don't even personally value, of course you will burn out. Your brain knows you are suffering for something you don't actually want.
Oh, wow. So it's about making sure your money is actively funding your priorities, not someone else's expectations.
Yes.
Like if your genuine, deeply personal goal is to take a 6-month sabbatical to travel through Italy and write a book.
Sounds lovely, by the way.
Right. But suddenly, skipping the expensive Friday night takeout doesn't feel like a punishment. It feels like buying a piece of your plane ticket to Rome.
That is the exact psychological shift. The 12-month forecast is simply the practical mathematical application of those resonant personal goals.
Okay, I'm tracking with you now.
You project your income, you map out your intentional expenses, and you schedule monthly check-ins. You are acting as the CEO of your own life, and the monthly check-in is just your board meeting.
I love that framing.
You aren't micromanaging the company, you are just ensuring the current cash flow is still aligning with the overarching mission statement.
Okay, so we've mapped our starting coordinates, we've plugged the holes by clearing the unproductive debt, and we are intentionally directing our cash flow toward goals that actually mean something to us.
The foundation is set.
Right. So at a certain point, doing all of this correctly generates a surplus, you have extra money, and the next logical hurdle is, well, what do we do with it? How do we build actual generational wealth?
This is where we transition into the mechanics of growth. The masterclass dives into where not to save your money, when to invest, and building an actual investment strategy.
All the fun stuff.
Exactly. And the advice here pairs beautifully with her standalone 2026 guide, the only investing video you'll ever need in 2026.
I want to zero in on the concept of where not to save your money because, putting your cash in a standard savings account feels inherently safe to most people.
It's what we were all taught to do with our allowance, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's really like someone giving you a map of where not to hide your spare house key. Why focus on the negative? Like, what is the actual danger of just leaving cash in a standard account? It feels like storing a block of ice in the fridge instead of the freezer.
That is a fantastic analogy.
It looks perfectly safe. Nobody is breaking in to steal it, but it's slowly, invisibly melting away every single day.
That is the perfect analogy for inflation. It feels safe, because the nominal number on the screen doesn't go down.
Right. The numbers stay the same.
If you put $10,000 in a checking account, you log in a year later, it still says $10,000. Your brain registers that stability as safety.
But it's not.
No, because inflation is the silent tax in the room.
Yeah.
If inflation is running at 3 or 4% and your standard bank account is paying you like 0.1% interest,
Which is pretty standard.
your money is actively losing purchasing power. You can literally buy less with that same $10,000 today than you could a year ago. Keeping your money in the wrong place is an active, guaranteed loss of wealth.
So if the fridge is bad, how do we build the freezer? The masterclass mentions building your investment strategy, but I really want to push beyond just the theory here.
Sure, let's get into the mechanics.
Break the actual mechanics down for us. How does a normal person who doesn't work on Wall Street actually put their money in an environment where it works hard for them?
The most liberating realization in modern finance is that you do not need to be a stock picker to build immense wealth.
Okay, that's a relief.
In fact, trying to pick individual winning stocks is usually a recipe for absolute disaster for retail investors.
So much risk.
Way too much risk. The strategy Nisha and most modern financial frameworks advocate for relies on 3 core mechanics: index funds, dollar cost averaging, and time.
Let's break those down. What are we actually buying when we buy an index fund?
Yeah.
Because it sounds complicated.
It's actually beautifully simple. When you buy a broad market index fund like one that tracks the S&P 500, you aren't trying to find the needle in the haystack. You are just buying the whole haystack.
I like that. The whole haystack.
You are buying a tiny fractional slice of the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the United States all at once.
So it's instantly diversified.
Exactly. If one company fails, it drops out of the index and is automatically replaced by a successful one. It is self-cleansing. You are essentially betting on the long-term upward trajectory of the broader economy.
That makes so much sense. And dollar cost averaging, is that just like a fancy term for automating your deposits so you don't forget to invest?
Well, it functions as a behavioral hack to automate your savings, yes, but mechanically it does something much more important. It neutralizes market volatility.
How so?
Dollar cost averaging means you invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, say $500 every single month, regardless of what the stock market is doing.
So you completely ignore the news.
Completely. When the market is booming and prices are high, your $500 buys fewer shares. But when the market crashes and everyone else is panicking, your $500 automatically buys more shares at a massive discount.
Oh, because they're essentially on sale.
Yes. Over a 10 or 20-year time horizon, you smooth out the average cost of your investments. It completely removes the impossible task of trying to time the market, which, by the way, even professional hedge fund managers fail to do consistently.
It's a fundamental shift in identity, really. You go from being just a consumer to being an owner of the economy. You are letting compound interest do the heavy lifting while you sleep.
That's the dream.
But this brings us to the ultimate test of all these systems. The foundation is set, the surplus is invested, and then real life happens.
Ah, yes, the big leaks in the bucket.
Exactly. Major life purchases. All of this foundational work culminates in the moments where people make their single biggest financial mistakes.
Cars and houses.
We are talking about cars and homes. The masterclass wraps up with chapters on car buying and affordability and should you buy or rent a home. But to really unpack the mechanics here, we have to pull in some vital context from Nisha's viral appearance on the Diary of a CEO podcast.
Right, the episode titled, "They're Lying to You About Buying a House. My 65251 Arrow Rule Built $200 K Passive Income."
So what does this all mean? Let's circle back to that bombshell from the very beginning of our conversation. Renting versus buying. I am going to push back strongly here on behalf of basically everyone listening.
I figured you would. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Wait, generation after generation has been explicitly taught that renting is a scam. It is throwing your hard-earned money away to pay someone else's mortgage, right?
That's what they say.
And buying a house is the ultimate, unquestionable financial asset. Eventually, the mortgage is paid off and you own a massive asset. How does her framework challenge a cultural script that is so deeply ingrained in us?
This raises an important question about how we view property. It challenges it by exposing the unrecoverable costs of homeownership that nobody really warns you about.
Unrecoverable costs.
Yeah. We are emotionally conditioned to view homeownership as a moral imperative. You aren't a successful adult until you have a 30-year mortgage. But Nisha forces you to strip away the emotion of, like, a beautiful kitchen island or a backyard and look at the rent versus buy dilemma as a strict cold math equation.
Okay, take me through the math, because when I pay $2,000 in rent, that money is gone forever. When I pay $2,000 toward a mortgage, I am building equity in an asset.
That is the illusion.
An illusion, really.
You aren't building $2,000 of equity. In the first decade of a 30-year mortgage, the vast majority of your monthly payment goes straight to the bank as interest.
Okay, well, sure, there's interest.
But that interest is unrecoverable.
Yeah.
It is just as thrown away as rent. But it doesn't stop there. You have property taxes, which go up. You have homeowners insurance, which goes up. You have HOA fees. And you have the endless, unpredictable costs of maintenance.
Well, yeah. If the boiler breaks in a rental, I call the landlord. If the boiler breaks in my house, I just have to magically find $5,000.
Exactly. Which leads to the most important phrase to remember when evaluating housing.
What's that?
Your rent is the maximum you will pay for housing in a given month. Your mortgage is the minimum you will pay for housing in a given month.
Wow. Your mortgage is the minimum you will pay. That completely shifts the perspective. But wait, what about the down payment? Even if the monthly costs are higher, housing prices generally go up over time, right?
They do, but that ignores the concept of opportunity cost.
Meaning what you could have done with that money instead.
Exactly. If you sink a massive $80,000 down payment into a single illiquid asset like a primary residence, that money is trapped. It cannot be used to buy index funds. Historically, a diversified portfolio in the stock market has outperformed the appreciation of single-family real estate without requiring you to replace a roof or unclog a toilet.
So how do we know if we can actually afford a house without sacrificing our wealth-building potential? You mentioned her 652510 rule from the podcast. What do those actual numbers stand for? Break the formula down for us.
The 65-25-10 rule is brilliant because it provides rigid mathematical boundaries for your entire income, forcing you to never become house poor. Here is exactly how it breaks down.
I'm ready. Got my notepad out.
65% of your net income is the absolute maximum limit for all of your essential living expenses.
All of them.
All of them. This includes your rent or your mortgage, your utilities, your groceries, your car payment, and insurance. Every required survival cost must fit into that 65% bucket.
That is incredibly tight. I mean, most people I know spend 50% of their income just on their rent alone.
Which is exactly why they are trapped. If housing eats up your whole pie, you literally can't build wealth. Which brings us to the most critical number in the formula, the 25.
Okay, what's 25?
25% of your income must be strictly and aggressively allocated to investments and wealth building. This is the index funds, the retirement accounts, the assets that actually pay you while you sleep.
That seems like a lot to invest every month.
It is, but if you only invest 5%, you will work forever. 25% is the lever that creates a self-sustaining financial snowball.
And the final 10%.
The final 10% is your pressure release valve. It is for guilt-free spending, short-term sinking funds, or lifestyle upgrades. It's the vacations, the nice dinners, the fun money. It prevents the burnout we talked about earlier.
So instead of falling in love with a house with a huge backyard and stretching your budget so much that your living expenses hit 85% of your income, you run the 65-25-10 rule.
Right.
And if the mortgage breaks the 65% limit, you literally cannot afford the house no matter how much you want it.
Yes. By applying that strict percentage rule, she completely bypassed her emotional blind spots. In Nisha's specific case, she realized that buying a house in her market would violate the rule and trap her capital.
So she just walked away.
So she chose to rent. She took the massive down payment she would have trapped in a house and the monthly surplus she saved by renting and funneled all of it into that 25% investment bucket.
And that is how she built a portfolio generating $200,000 in passive income.
Precisely. She isn't saying that buying a house is universally bad or that you should never do it.
Right. It's not anti-house.
No, she is saying that you need to run the cold math for your specific market, your specific interest rates, and your specific life goals. You have to ensure the purchase actually serves your wealth-building strategy, rather than just blindly following society's inherited script.
We spend so much of our daily lives agonizing over minor expenses. We'll spend 20 minutes researching which $10 phone case to buy on Amazon.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that.
And then we will blindly sign a 30-year document for $500,000 just because we feel like it's, the next logical step in adulthood.
It is the ultimate misallocation of our financial anxiety. We sweat the small daily stuff, and we completely ignore the structural math of the massive, life-altering stuff. By applying strict mathematical rules to cards and homes, you guarantee that the biggest numbers on your balance sheet are working for you, not against you.
Which perfectly synthesizes the entire journey we've taken today. I mean, we started by assessing the raw data of your now, neutralizing the high-interest debt that drags you backward, tracking your money intentionally to fund your actual life goals, and utilizing strict, emotionless frameworks to protect your surplus from major lifestyle inflation.
It proves that managing money isn't magic.
No, it's really not.
And if there is one overarching insight you take away from this discussion, let it be this. You absolutely do not need a finance degree, and you do not need to obsess over stock charts to take back control of your financial destiny.
That's incredibly empowering.
The core curriculum we just walked through takes 54 minutes to watch in its original video format. That is less time than most of us spend mindlessly scrolling social media in a single evening.
Wow, put like that, there's no excuse.
The mechanics of wealth are incredibly simple once you strip away the industry jargon. You just need the right behavioral frameworks and the courage to look at the math objectively.
You just need to know which 3 dials on the dashboard actually matter. You learn the system, you flip the right switches, and you fly the plane.
It really is that straightforward.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mechanics of wealth, I want to leave you, our listener, with a lingering thought to chew on today. We just spent a significant amount of time completely deconstructing the idea that renting is inherently bad and buying is inherently good. We proved it's just a math problem.
That's math.
So if the unquestioned generational wisdom about buying a house might actually be a lie holding back your wealth, what other inherited financial rules are you blindly following today that you should probably be questioning?